Hi, my name's Chris Palmer. I'm from Anytech Solutions. I'm the MD. I generally post probably once every couple of weeks, just giving an update on how things are, especially right now when things are extremely fragile, both from a health and business economical point of view. We're all being severely affected, and interestingly, I was part of a web gathering, business gathering the other day, and it was really interesting hearing some very interesting topics, some ideas on how we survive and how we come out the other end in a good shape. And there was a comment with regards to marketing during this period. And actually, at the time, I did agree with a lot of the sentiment. And it left me feeling, well, actually, that's quite a challenging period that we're facing as business owners, because at the end of the day we have team members, we have people that we are responsible for to generate business, so that we can pay our staff and so that the business can still function and pay electricity and all the rest of it. So we're sort of stuck in the middle of this situation where we don't feel necessarily comfortable about marketing our services right now, but at the same token, if we don't, then all we're doing is damaging our business at the end of the day. And then it led me to start wondering about, what ethical business means and what ethical business is all about. And I've only done a little bit of reading on it, but it's certainly something that got me thinking about how we communicate our messages during this period. And one of the things I went away really mulling over and came to a conclusion of is that personally, there's always a business out there in trouble. There are always people out there in trouble, yet we still market. So, what's different about a pandemic? I think what's different is we should generally try and focus our services on how they can help more, shall we say, as opposed to, well, this is quite clever, this will be good for you in the long run. However, you don't really need it right now. So I think what I've walked away with and what I've taken away is that we want to still market our business, but we want to target our services that want to help and benefit your business more, as opposed to a service that you should have because it ticks a box. So one of the things we're trying to do is bring to light that from early March, leading right up until now, there's been a massive increase in scams, literally from people wanting to buy puppies because there's been a surge in the market. There are scams with regards to even buying puppies. And what I'm going to do is take you through a couple of slides that are going to show you, and these slides aren't definitive in any way, they've been just my gathering of the resources. I've seen this stuff start to creep and increase, and we've seen the increase with the sorts of issues that we're dealing with daily. And without a doubt, there's been a massive increase from March onwards with cyber attacks, scams, the amount of money that people are losing. And that's always been something that's been very close to my heart. It absolutely drives me insane with annoyance to think that any colleague of mine, peer, competitor, whatever, locally should fall foul to these scams. All that does is harm our local economy. It's less money out there for us to all market and sell our services. So I will take you through these slides, the summary of which we're going to be launching some extremely affordable packages. Ultimately, believe it or not, it's not about the money, it's about getting affordable security out there and various levels, right from baby steps right the way through, that absolutely anybody can afford. But it's about protecting yourself during this time and moving forwards, because the COVID-19 pandemic has opened up our vulnerabilities. We're all worried. We're worried about our health. There are scams about buying face masks. There's scams about vaccines being available for $99. The health institutes are being attacked. And a lot of this you won't know unless your ears are close to the ground. So I'm going to share some of that with you now. Hopefully it doesn't scare you too much, but what I'm really trying to get across to you is that the threats are out there. They're more prevalent than they ever have been, purely because of this pandemic, and we really need to find ways to protect ourselves, but it needs to be affordable and it needs to be effective. So stick with me. It's only a couple of slides. I'll take you through them and then we'll summarize at the end. So we're looking at early March, and as I said, this isn't a definitive slide. There would have been hundreds and hundreds. I'm just picking out the top lines. So, and a lot of this information I'm gathering from US public sources, and there's a wealth of information out there. The US tend to be extremely good at publicising a lot of this stuff. So in early March, the FBI noticed malicious websites being created and popping up, apps being popped up, basically to deceive and create deception with regards to COVID-19. And they saw that happening in early March. One day after the FBI announced an alert, there's a cyber attack on the US Department of Health and Human Services. So literally, there was this major attack. Then the FBI issue a public alert. I'm not sure whether they would have issued a public alert had there not been a huge attack on the US Department of Health, but certainly the attack came first, and then they did the announcement that there is this increase. Mid-March, obviously there were more attacks throughout the period, but mid-March there were various attacks on the health and human services. They increased with their prevalence, and very much it seemed to be a coordinated campaign. Hackers started to exploit the COVID-19 outbreak to spread their own infections. So they started to propagate and embed their infection within communications all about COVID-19, because at that point we all started to wonder, well, what is this thing? You know, people talking about it, well, it's just another flu. What is it? So there's lots of curiosity. So lots of internet activity with regards to people trying to do their own research on COVID-19. So the sort of thing that I like to call happy clicking is where your defences are low and you're clicking on anything that seems to be what you're looking for at that time. And that's when, you know, you really can land into a lot of trouble. There also was an increase in phishing campaigns, so campaigns emailing to find various bits of information that they can then build a picture of your organisation. So in America, they were using phishing campaigns that looked as though they were coming from the Director General, of the World Health Organization. So quite frankly, people would click on those thinking that they were information that they needed to know about the COVID-19, but actually there were things in there that once you clicked on them, malware would download and install into your computer. And some of this malware you might actually not know is in your machine. It's just sitting there trying to wait, and then it will activate and collect it and send information to other servers around the internet. So that was mid-March. Late March, remote workers. Yep, everyone started sort of talking about working from home, which is even better for the scammers, because now not only are you not hiding behind a firewall defense of commercial level within your corporate environment, you're at home on your own broadband, relying on your device's firewall. So it's just music to the scammers' ears. FBI issued a warning Friday after agents reported seeing spam and phishing campaigns that use government economic stimulus checks as lures. So I don't know if you've been listening to or watching anything about the American news, but they're giving stimulus checks. Unlike the UK, there's no NHS in America. There's no furloughing. It's literally stimulus checks. You're either in work or you're out of work. So they were sending out, I think it was $1,000 or $1,200 a stimulus check. So everyone was chomping at the bit to get these because they needed to feed themselves. So again, there's that need, there's that desire, and the scammers are basically capitalizing on that. Forbes reported that Hammersmith Medicines Research, a British medical facility, was on standby to help test COVID-19 vaccine. It was attacked by a ransomware group that previously promised not to target medical organisations. So they went back on their words. They said we wouldn't be targeting those organisations that are trying to save lives and develop a vaccine, but they still did anyway. So you know, why we should believe them, I don't know. But either way, they went back on their words. So early April, according to researchers at Kaspersky Labs, nearly 120,000 malware and adware packages were observed in April on remote conferencing platforms. So all of a sudden, everyone's using Skype, they're using Zoom, using WebEx, GoToMeeting, etc., etc. The scammers started to target them, which again, if you're trying to steal money, steal identity, steal information, you're going to go for the platforms that everybody's using, and Zoom were one of the biggest ones. You may well have seen something on the news about Zoom being attacked and breached. It really was a big problem for Zoom. These platforms had an infection called Dealply adware, and also Download Sponsor, malware disguised as link files or Trojans. You really don't want a Trojan in your system. You know, you really are going to be in a lot of trouble. Google issued a ban on the use of Zoom teleconferencing platform for their employees due to recent security issues with the platform. We prefer to use our own 3CX phone system, not because it's completely impregnable, but because it's very low on the list for the scammers to be attacking at this moment in time. They're focusing on the big stuff, which is the Skype and the Zoom. So if you send me a Zoom request, I will accept, but I'll do it through my web browser only. I won't download the app. I won't change my operating system. But if I want to issue a web conference with you, I will generally use our 3CX web conferencing, which is built into our phone system and comes free. If you want any more information about that, just let me know. Mid-April 2020, phishing scammers have started to impersonate President Trump and the Vice President in emails that distribute malware or perform extortion scams. So again, people now, by this moment, the fear is out there. We know what April's been like. It was at the height of panic, mixed messages, confusion, no governments really knowing what they're saying from one minute to the next. So again, with all of that confusion and fear out there, the scammers are just capitalizing on it. So, you know, quite frankly, any email that people were receiving with regards to any mass message from a government official, they were being clicked on. And these attacks just increased through the end of March all the way through April, and they were very successful. Over a 24-hour period, Microsoft detected a massive phishing campaign using 2,300 different web pages attached to messages and disguised as COVID-19 financial compensation information. So again, people by this point are absolutely pulling their hair out because they may well have lost their jobs. They're trying to claim for benefits, and they really are depending on these checks to just get them through the month. So these scammers really turned on their attacks. And this isn't isolated to America, don't get me wrong. These are just American stats. Exactly the same would have been happening over here, apart from the fact that we were given certain incentives and the companies were furloughing staff, which in turn protected the staff to some degree because you weren't individually having to make any claims or register to get any checks sent out. So in some degree, our system over here did distance us to some degree from those types of attacks. But the message I'm trying to get across to you is no time was more important to get your security in place, and it's just about trying to make that as affordable as possible. Approximately 12 million was lost to COVID-19 related scams, according to complaints received since January 2020. Again, this is USA. According to the FTC, consumers reported losing a total of 12.78 million to fraud, with an average loss of $570. So really climbing up now in mid-April as far as the loss. The scammers are doing extremely well. As part of a case coordinated by Europol and Interpol, financial institutions and authorities across Germany, Ireland, and the Netherlands and the United Kingdom foiled an attempt to cheat health authorities out of millions of euros by selling them non-existent face masks. So they're still targeting the health institutions because there was a massive demand for PPE. And PPE was being sourced from wherever it could be because of the fears of running out. FBI issued an alert on the 23rd of April after observing at least 2 attempts by cybercriminals to initiate fraudulent SWIFT banking messages through third-party vendors who provide messaging service to small businesses. So now they're really upping their sophistication and really targeting third-party vendors in financial money transfers. So they really increased their sophistication in mid-April as far as what they were doing. Late April, again, this is just a snippet. There was so much more going on in late April as far as scams, the sophistication of the scams, the targeting. I mentioned earlier on puppy scam. There were so many that there's actually a term was developed, puppy scams, literally because of the amount of people looking for puppies during the lockdown period. So if you were looking for a puppy, I believe the figure was 95% of adverts selling puppies were scams. So that is a huge number. And long gone are the days where these scammers and criminals were, just one guy in his bedroom. We're talking about very sophisticated, highly intelligent people that understand the social and economic strata, and they know which buttons to press. They know what we're doing. They know what we want, and they do not care. They do not discriminate. They have no feelings whatsoever. They're being paid very well to produce these things for very big criminal organisations. So late April, cyber attackers behind the Shade ransomware, we've even given it a name, have shut down their operations, released over 750,000 decryption keys, and apologised for the harm that they caused their victims, according to Bleeping Computer. That's the source. Shade ransomware has been in operation since 2014 and predominantly targets people in Russia and Ukraine. So that's actually one bit of positive. I'm not sure why they did it, but they basically released all of the decryption keys. So if you've ever had ransomware, you'll end up with the skull and crossbones or something else telling you that your machine has been locked down due to looking at pornography or doing some other malicious activity. And unless you pay the money, you will not get a decryption key. So in the old days, in order to try and beat ransomware, we would have to have a file pre-infection. And what we would have to do is try to mimic a file that was pre-infection and post-infection, and then use the two files to try to create our own decryption key using a vast melee of software to do this. And once we developed our own decryption key, we could then decrypt the ransomware. It would take days to do it, but we had some degree of success. It's a well-known idea, and that's how it was done. But most of the time, people didn't have backups, so you didn't have a file that you could use as a reference point. So in those situations, the person either had to decide, well, am I going to pay £3,000 to get my files back, or am I just going to start again? Not a situation you want to be in. And if you're not backing up now, you need to be. And if you want information on affordable backup that's based in the UK, GDPR compliant, then just reach out to me. But certainly Trojans, for them to be releasing out the decryption keys was good news for a lot of people. Some Sophos firewall products were attacked with new Trojan malware. They were stealing usernames and passwords. Zoom users are being targeted with new phishing campaigns that uses fake Zoom meeting notifications to threaten those who work in corporate environments that their contracts will either be suspended or terminated. When users clicked on the link, they were redirected to a phishing landing page that mimics a Zoom sign-in page, and then scammers are able to steal the victim's credentials. So, very difficult to tell that you're landing on a page that's not the authentic page when you're in a panic and you're clicking in a hurried fashion. Personally, look out for the secure padlock in the top left-hand corner of your browser. If it's not secure, that's your first warning. It's very difficult to tell these days whether a URL is genuine or not. But if it doesn't say zoom.com or something else.com and it's got some other sort of domain in front of it, then I would just slow down and question. Speak to your service provider, speak to your IT guy, ask them if it's real. Failing that, come through to us and we'll see if we can give you some advice on what to do. But certainly don't go happy clicking. Be much more careful right now. Cyber criminals are creating new scams using COVID-19 delivery issues as a lure to get people to visit malicious links or open malware. That's all they want you to do. Click on something, land on the site, and they've got you. So they're using FedEx, i.e. You've got a parcel. One thing that obviously right now everyone's in lockdown, so deliveries have skyrocketed. You're doing much more online purchasing. You're not going out to the shops as much as you were, so you're ordering left, right and centre. I do it myself right now. If I need something, I'm looking online. I don't necessarily want to go out to the shop, so it arrives. So right now, for you to get an email saying that your parcel has been delayed for whatever reason is not necessarily unusual, and you might not necessarily even stop and think, well, actually, I didn't order anything. Why is it FedEx? Why is it DPD? Why is it whatever? You don't know which courier is coming. And quite frankly, I might order 2 or 3 things a week. The fact that they've already arrived and I've got them and I've forgotten is by the by. I'm still thinking, well, yeah, that could well be for me, so I'll click on it. Don't stop. Have a look. Have you really ordered something? Are you really expecting something? And is it usual behaviour for your parcels to be delayed in this way? Just slow everything down a little bit. A few more COVID-19 related scams in the underground web marketplace. Not that any of you should be down there anyway, but includes scammers offering an Israel created vaccine for $99. Believe it or not, people were buying this. Another scammer posted a malicious MP3 file and informed users that they needed to listen to it 3 to 6 times per day to eliminate COVID-19. Believe it or not, people did this thinking that if they listened to this message 3 or 6 times, they would be cured of COVID-19. But obviously, just by clicking on this file, all they were doing was running an executable while this file was playing this audio. So really, the message I'm really trying to paint for you, as I said at the very, very beginning, is that the numbers of scams and the methods of targeting you, me, and everyone else has increased exponentially. So, back to the very beginning. How do we, as an IT company, ethically and as best as we can, spread this message without being seen to be capitalising on COVID-19? Before COVID-19, we were talking about security. We were trying to get people to do their backups, back up their Office 365s, get their stuff in a UK cloud, have strong antivirus, use encrypted VPNs when you're on the internet. And so we've done some COVID-19 packages. What are we doing to try to make sure that we're being as positive and as helpful as we can is that we're doing them for next to cost. So we literally have packages starting at £10 per month, and within that package, we will call it our bronze package. You get managed and monitored antivirus, so not just antivirus that we stick on your computer and forget about it, but it reports back to our dashboard and will flag any alerts, and we will then alert you to the fact that we've seen something going on. Of course, any remedial work that you need doing is going to be casted and charged at our normal rates. Managed system patches, so we will ensure, our system will ensure that your patches are being done out of hours for you, so that your systems are staying as up to date as they possibly can with regards to the security within your operating system. And this is both Mac and PC. And basically general monitoring by installing our endpoint in your system. It will be monitoring into our new dashboard that we've developed and moved on to, which has a degree of AI built into it and a degree of self-healing. So for £10 a month, we're giving you all of that security. And that is at a really, really discounted rate, purely because of this CV19. The silver package, similar to the bronze, but we add on managed mail security. So what we would do is, if you're on 365, which most people are right now if you're in business, we would at source divert all of your mail to our security platform, where it is scanned and analysed before it's landing in your 365 mailbox. So all mail goes to our cloud server, it gets scanned, gets analysed, spam gets pulled out, phishing scams get alerted and pulled out, and then the rest of the mail gets landed in your mailbox. So you get that included in the silver platform. The gold platform is pretty much close to the full Monty. There are other benefits and things of going full contract, but this is really a security platform. We're now backing up your Office 365, so we're installing an endpoint in your system that has the credentials of your 365. So your 365 data gets pulled down by this little endpoint and then sent into a UK cloud. So you're not reliant on the Microsoft's own built-in sort of time frame for reverting any mistakes. So we do like to say that 365 is robust, and it does allow you to have a specific time window to reverse any mistakes that you might make. However, it's not a backup. It's still a single point that allows you to reverse things, but it's not a separate offline totally redundant backup of your mail, your SharePoint, or anything like that. So the gold membership has that, and we give you up to 20 gigs worth of space to back up your 365. We also have managed risk intelligence audit that we can run periodically on a scheduled basis, and you will get that report telling you of what risks you're open to. So over time, you can start plugging those holes. There is scheduled maintenance as well included in there. Again, this is all run from the system automatically without human intervention. You also get the managed mail security, as I've talked about already, diverting your mail to a cloud server that filters and scans really obvious threats that you might not necessarily pick up. So any mails that are saying they're coming from one destination but they're not, they're coming from another, asking you to change your billing details or your banking details, things like that, those get pulled out, and you will get a report automatically sent to you from the system telling you what it's spotted, what you need to be aware of, etc., etc. Along with the proactive monitoring that's built into the system, managed system patches, managed and monitored antivirus. So that's pretty much a full Monty security suite. So hopefully that's not been too OTT, and the general message has come across to you about protecting yourself. And hopefully I've given you some options that are some very affordable antidotes to those threats, to mitigate as many of those threats as possible. If any of you have got any questions, if you want a copy of these slides, because I did whiz through them fairly quickly, just let me know. Contact me through LinkedIn, send me an email, whatever, get in touch. I'll send you the slides so you can mull them over at your own leisure. But really the point is, hopefully some of you out there will look at what you're doing to protect yourselves. Please protect yourselves, protect your devices, work smarter, be safe, be healthy, but also be financially healthy as well. And hopefully we'll all come out of this the other side in as good a shape as possible. So hopefully that's helped someone out there. I hope it has. If it's just merely got you thinking about what you're doing and changing your habits, then I will have achieved something today. And I hope we all come out of this the other side, and we're able to have a cup of tea or a beer at the end of it, and we're all made stronger because of it. So have a great day, enjoy the rest of what you're doing, and talk soon.